very fragmented, in the sense that I was in several conferences, and you have these a panel. It almost looks like a marketplace where everyone says, "Here's my solution. Here's my protocol. Here's my protocol," and it's sort of there's no clear standard. What are the metrics you want to measure? With against, and how do you vet a project? How do you vet a protocol? So in this ecosystem, we're trying to say, okay, here are the standards. Here's the right way to do things. And it does matter for us personally, but it doesn't really matter who wins as long as there needs to be one winning standard, or maybe very few winning standards. And that's why you asked what's our role in the project. We want to just do the proof of work based layer in the right way. We hope to become a standard for that layer. There are many players in layer 2. There are many players in proof of stake, but there's no clear standard where proof of stake is. Some people think proof of stake is a certain implementation, Kaspa, or some think it's EOS. Like, proof of stake is not clear what it is. Proof of work is more known. Everyone sort of agrees what the term refers to. So we're trying to win on this standard and to create a standard for the community. Once you have standards, then everyone understands what the competition is about, what the game is about, what we need to improve, how to vet new proposals. It becomes more clear.
I'm staking, personally, I'm staking actually a little bit less than the average. So there you go.
What's the incentive? Why aren't you staking all of your ether? Like, why haven't you just aped all the way in?
I think part of the reason is that when you make the sausage, you know how it's made. And there's a bunch of tail risk, that is difficult to quantify.
And the other thing that, I've talked to the roll-up teams that they all want to do next year is they want to start taking off training wheels, right? So the roll-ups and layer 2s that exist on Ethereum today, they basically all have what I call training wheels, like some kind of backdoor that lets developers come in and say stop and change the protocol if they see that some kind of bug has happened.
Welcome back to the Kaspa Silver YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to kind of look at this Fidelity article that recently came out that was brought to my attention by someone within my family. They let me know, hey, look at this, and I want to hear what you think about it in terms of Kaspa, and if they're accurate about proof of work and proof of stake. So one thing to notice is the fact that how Fidelity does send articles out to investors on their platform trying to educate people about crypto, which just shows that the adoption is coming, that institutions do care about crypto. And in my opinion, it is going to be here to stay. So going into this, I kind of want to just look at what they say about the advantages of proof of work, the disadvantages of proof of work, and then the advantages and disadvantages of proof of stake here. So the potential advantages of proof of work. Here's what Fidelity says. Supporters believe proof of work is more decentralized than other consensus mechanisms. One argument for this perspective is that there are practical limits to how much mining power one can acquire in a proof of work system. Mining requires enormous amounts of computing power, which requires computer chips and electricity. If someone wanted to manipulate a large proof of work based blockchain like Bitcoin, they would need to first control a majority of the computer chip supply chain, then have access and funds to supply the necessary electricity, which is very true. And mining is highly competitive, and basically because of how competitive it is and how expensive it can be, mining could be with a lot less people, but typically it is spread out across the whole entire world within Bitcoin. And again, if you do want to try to attack the network, you have to usually put up a ton of money up front. I mean, taking a look at this right here, you can see that Kaspa is moving up in the ranks of how much money it takes to do a 1 hour attack cost. You can see Litecoin right now costs about $38,000 to do a 1 hour attack cost. And Litecoin has been around for a long time and pretty much hasn't really suffered from much of anything. Bitcoin Cash takes $7,254 to do a 1 hour attack cost. Bitcoin Cash has actually suffered some attacks here. And then Kaspa down here does have $23,704 to cost for a 1 hour attack. So it's even more secure than Bitcoin SV, which someone was telling me about Bitcoin SV, but like that's pretty bad that it's only $2,000 to do a 1 hour attack cost. So if someone really wanted to do it, which would be pointless because it's not really going anywhere at the moment, it is very cheap to do so. But Kaspa is up there in the ranks, but Bitcoin does of course have that $1.1 million just to do a 1 hour attack cost. So it's not financially reasonable to attack any of these cryptos up here and the top like 5 right here. So moving on here, we could see that advocates argue that this link to real-world resources and constraints help make it impractical for a single entity to manipulate the system. In contrast, proof of stake has a much smaller real-world link. To manipulate a proof of stake system, one would only need to buy and stake a majority of the available coins. No supply chains or electricity needed. And this is true. Proof of stake has that vulnerability where it's literally just owning more coins give you more control of the network and highly centralized. When these validators are the likes of Coinbase and Binance, when you're staking your coins on their platform, they are the validators. And guess what? That means they're validating the Ethereum network. And if the government wants to regulate Coinbase or Binance or anything like that, which is really risky right now and has been an issue, that Binance has been in the eyes of government regulation, that is a problem for the Ethereum network because the validation is so centralized to confirm transactions on the network and all that kind of stuff. So this is why Ethereum is highly more centralized than something like a proof of work system like Bitcoin or Kaspa. So another argument supporters champion is that proof of work is currently more reliable because it's the oldest consensus mechanism. For example, the first cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, has operated on proof of work since it launched in 2009. As of May 2023, it has run for over a decade without its blockchain being successfully attacked or manipulated. Now, I'm not too sure about this because I did talk about yesterday that there was an exploit that did happen, that 185 billion Bitcoins were exploited into the system, but it's usually never successful, I guess they mean, for these things to remain the case. Usually it's super easy to fix, and nowadays that's most likely not going to happen because Bitcoin has gone through many years of just improvements of the security. And the same goes for Kaspa. The longer it's around, the more secure it'll be because it's gone through longer testing periods to figure out if this could be vulnerable to some kind of attack or exploit or something like that. So proof of work is really well known and it's easy to understand. Like Jonathan was saying, that with proof of work, he's trying to make Kaspa's protocol be the standard of how proof of work should actually function. This is the base. If you want to make a proof of work system, hey, use these protocols. These are the protocols that you should be using to run a proof of work. That is the whole purpose of the protocols behind Kaspa is to finally just finish proof of work and make it the most scalable, trustworthy, secured, and decentralized system for crypto. And Kaspa is currently doing this, and this is why its technology is very, very promising for the future. So what are the disadvantages of proof of work? And this is Fidelity saying the disadvantages, but let's take a look here. So one critique of proof of work is that the impact its energy uses has on the environment. Supporters believe that the network's energy consumption is increasingly shifting towards renewable sources, but critics question whether its perceived positives justify the carbon emissions. So this is again like the narrative of climate change, or the emissions are really bad because it's wasteful electricity and all that kind of stuff. And I understand that there's people that don't like it, but we're reading an article by Fidelity right now, which is a big institution, and they clearly sell Bitcoin on their platform. BlackRock wants to file for an ETF. Fidelity wants to file for ETF. So this whole narrative about the energy issue, that's just been a Bitcoin FUD talk for like many, many years. It just doesn't hold any water. And we could see that clearly they want Bitcoin. But if we did want to care about it, Kaspa solves a lot of this because Kaspa is optimized for optical proof of work, which is a better miner that would be a lot more energy efficient. On top of that, Kaspa does not orphan blocks like Bitcoin does, or a lot of other, almost all other proof of work do. They orphan blocks, and when they orphan blocks, that means that they wasted energy on making these blocks that were eventually just going to be taken away. And Kaspa doesn't do this. So that's another reason why it's actually a lot more energy efficient than Bitcoin itself. But really, at the end of the day, there are things that are way worse, that are a lot more or bad to the environment. So another criticism is that it also requires large data centers to run, as well as bulky equipment that needs to be maintained, both of which create large physical footprint. Additionally, these data centers need to be located in countries that allow mining, which can open doors for political risk. And yes, that's always true. The governments are always going to have like the final say when it comes to like the economies right now. And so, I mean, that's why we're investing into crypto kind of, so that we're out of the central controlling governance of the monetary policies with fiat currencies. That's why we believe in cryptocurrency. That's why I believe in cryptocurrency, why I do like Bitcoin, why I do like Kaspa. But I really don't think that's like a risk to be worried about, because if this political kind of attack happens, first off, it's going to be very, very hard to stop it, because proof of work mining is global scale. So you got to stop it everywhere. And then again, if they are kind of successful and they're doing that kind of political attack, I think that money would be the least of our worries, because our governments would be doing things that are just not good for society at all. And money would probably be the least of our worries. So, I mean, it's always like people in the past with me when I've dove into investing, a lot of questions always go to, oh, so what if the whole economy fails or something like that? And it's just like, if you're investing in America, in the stock market there, if the American economy fails, then again, it's like there's a lot more things to worry about than your money, because if the American economy fails, then pretty much that means everything else is failing. So you're not the only one. It's not like there's nothing really you could have done, because fiat would be failing pretty much. So it's the same kind of thing when you're trying to say political risk about proof of work mining. So it's like the same situation almost. And then a third criticism of proof of work is that it can be slow. Now, this last criticism shouldn't even be on here, because obviously Fidelity doesn't know about Kaspa, but they say proof of work is slow, and I'm happy to say that Kaspa solves the trilemma and actually proves that proof of work is not slow. It's actually able to be scalable. And Jonathan has said this many times within his own protocol, that he's proving that Kaspa is a scalable layer 1 block DAG, and it can actually scale its speeds and transactions without sacrificing security or the speed, while it scaled the fact that it can still be pretty cheap and really fast. So this is good for Kaspa and really bullish, because this third criticism really doesn't affect Kaspa. You could see here that the proof of work takes about 10 minutes on average to create a new block. Well, if they look at Kaspa takes 1 block per second, and we're about to be 10 blocks per second. So definitely this is revolutionary for the space. It just really hasn't caught that adoption yet. And then you see here that they compare it to Ethereum network, which has 12 seconds. But again, cool. Being fast is easy to do on proof of stake networks. A lot of cryptocurrencies are even faster than Kaspa itself, but I can care less, because they sacrifice decentralization to be able to be that fast. So the potential advantages of proof of stake. So here we go. So proof of stake supporters believe the system has several advantages, the first of which is accessibility. You don't need to buy powerful computers or pay high electricity bills in order to have a chance to update a proof of stake blockchain. Instead, you simply need to buy and stake the coin. Proof of work advocates see this as a downside, but proof of stake supporters believe it's a strength, as it allows anyone to participate from the comfort of their laptop. Yeah, but they don't mention the fact that proof of stake means that It's super centralized. Yeah, anyone can participate, but who are the people validating your participation? It's actually centralized entities that are basically controlling the whole entire network, and even has control over which addresses that they can block. If the government was to tell them, hey, don't allow this addresses to process transactions or whatever, these validators can definitely just listen and obey. And to me, Ethereum is becoming like a bank. It's like a bank 2.0, a centralized bank. So it's really not money. Ethereum itself is not money. It's like a whole, it's its own kind of network that's really not crypto. It's not the point of crypto. It's not trying to be a currency. I don't see Ethereum as a currency, especially with its fee issue. Paying $20 to send $1 doesn't make sense in my brain. So I really don't see that being the case for Ethereum as being some kind of currency or money. So supporters also note that it has much smaller physical footprint than proof of work, as it doesn't require large data centers to maintain. Again, this is kind of just like an environmentalist. If you're really if you really care about those things, that it might be an issue. But I really don't think the narrative holds, because again, institutions want Bitcoin and they don't really care about what Bitcoin is doing to the environment. They actually want ETFs and they want to buy it. So a third advantage of proof of stake advocates points to its processing efficiency without the need to solve complex puzzles. So again, this third point doesn't even matter, because they're saying that proof of stake is better to solve the scalability issue. But again, Kaspa solves this, and we have proof of that. So this third one doesn't even hold any water on this article. So moving on, you got proof of work operates on competition. So this is the disadvantages, which means miners must consistently improve their equipment to have a chance to update the ledger. With proof of stake, however, one only needs to buy and hold the coins to have a chance. Critics believe these lower barriers can make proof of stake systems easier to manipulate. And this is what I was talking about. It's very true. Proof of stake systems are very easy to manipulate. And you saw with those two clips right there, the Ethereum founder Vitalik literally said that all layer 2 solutions have some sort of backdoor to them. And then another person who works on the Ethereum network admitted that he doesn't even stake all his Ethereum. Why? Well, because he understands how it works. And when you understand how it works, it seems like you don't even want to use the product that you're making, which is really, really concerning to me. Don't really understand that. So over here, they say critics argue this leads to the rich get richer situation, which is very, very true when it comes to proof of stake, because validators on Ethereum, you need to have about like 32,000 Ethereum to be a validator. Well, that's a lot of money, and the average person doesn't have that money. So it is going to be this richer person that's a validator, which then allows them to sit back, relax, collect this interest, and just keep validating the network. And if they wanted to, if they get more coins, they can control the network with their more coins. So finally, critics also caution that proof of stake is a newer, less proven system and could face unforeseen attacks down the road. And this is very true. Ethereum just transitioned to proof of stake, and it's still trying to solve like a ton of issues that it still has. But with proof of work, like Jonathan said in the first clip, a lot of people know about it, and it's been around for a long time. We have a really great example of Bitcoin to look towards when we're talking about proof of work. And Kaspa does use the same Nakamoto consensus, but it's just a generalized version of it, a updated version of it that brings innovation and allows Kaspa to solve the trilemma. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion about proof of stake versus proof of work, why I value proof of work a whole lot better. And ultimately, it's because if I'm going to be in crypto, I want to have my money placed in an asset that is going to follow the same types of principles that Bitcoin holds and what made it great. But the foundation has to be decentralization. I can care less about the profits, because the foundation has to be decentralization. I value that, and I think it's very important, so that you have no central entity controlling the network. It's no trusted third parties. And I think Kaspa is really fulfilling and finishing the Satoshi vision, the original vision of a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And really what Satoshi wanted was a medium of exchange. And I think Kaspa has a really good shot in achieving this goal. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and did learn something from it. And as always, don't be average, be different.